Something that we noticed, on startup, we noticed a little bit more smoke one now and then, which is normal. You're supposed to get a bit of smoke now and then, it happens. But a little, I don't think it's ever been done. So we're gonna change the air oil separator. Now this car is a 2004, so it's the 986.2. So if you have a 2002 or newer, the air oil separator is different. So check out the video for that on the guy named, Help Me DIY? He's got a fantastic video on it. This one, a little bit simpler, which is nice. Porsche progressively make their stuff simpler to do. So we're gonna do this as a two-part thing. Now, we're also going, because there's a little, it's oil, and it's oil that goes back into the intake, we're gonna clean the intake. I cleaned the MAF the other day. You can see the video for that on our channel. And we're going to, where that line there comes from, it's going to have oil in it, guaranteed, just a little bit. Like so, well, to be honest, I looked at it before, it had a bit of oil. We're going to undo this, have a look inside, maybe undo this as well, and wipe out any oil if we can. Now, I did see a recent video from the guys at, I think it's BMD Automotive in Sydney, Australia. Great video on how to really flush it out, particularly if you have a direct injection engine, because the later ones, they don't get any fuel on their valves when they shoot fuel into the cylinders, and you get a lot of carbon buildup on the valves. But anyway, that not on the issue with this one, and we're not going to go that far because that's taking out the spark plugs and pulling the fuel fuse and cranking it and spraying stuff through. But we're definitely going to spray some stuff on the rags, some intake cleaner on the rags, and give that a wipe down inside. If it's really oily, well, we'll go further, but for the most part, I think we're just going to be able to get away with it because the oil separator has not fully gone. Some of them you see this massive white cloud on startup, and that's not what we have. We just have a little puff. So apparently they are part of the scheduled service. I think around 100,000 kilometers, around 60 or 70,000 miles, something like that. You're supposed to swap them out. They said we're at 114,000 Ks, 2004, now it's 2021. And we'll swap that out now just to keep things fresh and to keep all the service stuff up to date. Starting with a few things like tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need an E-socket. This is an E10. Basically, it's like a reverse Torx. If you don't have a set, suggested you go out and buy one. They're not cheap. No, sorry, they are cheap, and you're going to use it quite a bit because it's a European car and Europeans car use them. What else are you going to need? Now, I saw a video that they were doing a Cayman, or first series Cayman, and it's the same setup on that, and it's a little bit easier to do on that car. It's really easy on the second gen Caymans because it's 0.2. So you can see there in that bright light, there's one of the E10 sockets, and then the other one is down. I just saw it there. See it there? Right at the tip of my finger. You can see it down there, so you just push some wiring away. So there's two there. Two bolts from the top, the older style bolts on from the side, and has all these weird clamps and stuff. I think there's one, there's a push clamp here. There's one there down below. You can see it there. It's right there, my fingertip. And then there is one you need pliers for, because there's a little kind of elbow on the bottom. And I can't quite see it, but it's down that hole there. Sometimes it's a bit more accessible from below, but for most part I've seen guys only be able to just quickly do it from the top. So shouldn't be too long. We'll get started by undoing some of these clamps, and I'll try to walk you through every step of it because I prefer to watch a more detailed video rather than, oh, there, it's done at the end. So let's get through and start taking stuff off. Okay, we'll start here. Now, careful not to break these hoses and these clips because it is older plastic that's been cooked in an engine bay. So you squeeze from the top and the bottom and wiggle. There we go. That one is undone. Now that one just connects over to the the inlet, so that's not going too far. Now, let's see if we can get the second one here. There's probably going to be a bit of oil, just a little bit, mostly probably just drops. So that's what we need to undo, that one there. Under this coolant pipe. Now, important, put some soft clothing on, because you don't want to be leaning on the car with buttons and zippers and stuff. Okay, I can kind of, oh yeah, there we go. Oh, that came off fairly easy. I'm sure if that came off, those two came off easy, the next ones will be a nightmare. So this one I can see it's got some oil around it. I'm gonna have to inspect this tube. I'll give it a wipe down and inspect it, make sure it's not cracked, because they are known to crack and cause some vacuum leaks. I've just wiped away the kind of dirt that was on it. This is a really thick part, so I doubt that's cracked. And I just gave it a bit of a wipe around the seal here, where it clips on. I don't see any cracks on it, and there's any cracks further down because there's no fluid or any oil in it there. So I think we might have dodged a bullet with that one and not have to replace that hose, because to attach the other end of it would be not fun. It's under the intake manifold. Okay, now let's attach some of these bolts down here. So we'll grab our socket. Okay, we'll attack this one first. These wires that are around it aren't very tight, so it's a pretty straight through shot. And it's definitely not in there very tight. Okay, with the first bolt out of the way, we go for the second. And this one's a lot easier to get to. Not hidden by any wires or anything. Okay, this a bit easier to reach. You can just go into that coolant line and out she comes. Now that is, well, it's unbolted. Oh, we gotta undo, get these all off. And there's one more hose. You can see in there, you can see the oil. Wipes just so it doesn't drip. Yeah, there's a bit of oil there. There's always going to be some. Yeah, it's not pouring out, so it's definitely not super failed, but we'll definitely need to be replaced. Now there's one more line to do, and it's down here. I think this is, there's some random line that goes down to the back. I don't know what this line is, but it's okay. It's movable, and we can access that little clamp we got to do. And none of the videos I've seen actually show how to do this. I kind of know why now, because it's not really something you can show too well. So, okay, see that silver tube? That's not it. Next to it, right at my fingertip, that's actually a clamp, and that's a clamp you got to undo. So it's just like just one of those metal spring-loaded hose clamps. So you're gonna have to get in with some long needle nose pliers, maybe ones that clamp off even better, and get in there and open that up and slide it back this way, because on the bottom of this arrow separator is like a 90-degree kind of L-shaped bit. So you gotta, but it's got to come off. So that's got to come that way, and this tube comes off. So wish me luck. We're going to dive in and try to get that. But yeah, that's why no one films it, because I think it's kind of impossible to film. Great. So I've moved it a little bit, but now it's wedged against the part of the engine up there. And if you can see that right there, but that made the hose clamp It's going to be very hard to move now. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I hate those things. Well, I just gave the separator a good tug and it came right off. Now, you can see here, that's where it was. That's the hole, that's the little J pipe I was talking about. And that's the, see, it's not even on there very tight. So a firm tug and it came right off of there. So that's pretty cool. I might just position this back into place. There we go. So that's what it sticks onto, that metal tubing there. And that's a little L-shaped pipe. So I'll put that back on. Actually, it's pretty soft still, so we're going to reuse it, but there's a bit of oil and scunge in there. We'll give that a blast out with some throttle body cleaner in a second. And there's not too much dirt underneath, so we don't want any dirt getting in there because that's, well, that's your engine. We might just get the vacuum cleaner and scrape out, just suck out all the dirt that's down in there. So upon inspecting this little pipe, it looks like, you can see a line in there, it is, it's cracked. You see along the edge there, it's cracked, so it's just quite, not as soft as I'd like it, so we're gonna order a new one. In the meantime, we'll take off the intake and give that a clean on the intake manifolds. We'll remove those and wait for that replacement little tube to come in. Now, I absolutely hate these hose clamps, but I think we'll reuse them if we can. It's just hard to get in there. So we'll take them off. So that rubber's so done. It even sounds hard when it hits the ground. Okay, so being a factory part, these have a little marker. Now that lines up top when you put it on down below. So that's the bottom of it and that's the top of it. Okay, put that on there. And the way it orientates is like that. There, that's actually secure, unlike the old rock hard one. Now, I'm just wondering though, probably gonna be a lot easier if I replace that with a screw type one. I know the purists will be screaming, going, you need to put it all original, but it's gonna make it a lot easier. But see how we go. If it's a pain in the butt, if we can't get it, then I'll go get a, I'll put a screw type clamp on there. But for now, I'll try to get that in an angle so we've got access to it, because before it's kind of jammed up. Okay, let's, we'll slide this into place and see if we can get everything connected. Now before we reinstall that, I think probably best, while we have, to make room for it as well, and while we have some room because it's not in here, so you take out the intake bit here and give it all a cleanup. So we'll start taking it apart. Just a couple mounting bolts, a throttle body mounting bolt here. There's another one, pretty sure, is there one on the other side? Yeah, there's another one on the other side. So we'll pull those off. They just look like 10 mils. We'll double check. Yeah, they're just a 10 mil. And they're not on very tight. There's another one somewhere. Where is it? Well, we'll start undoing a few things. Start undoing the hose clamps. Are they 7? Yeah, they're 7 mil. Just loosen those off. They're all loose. There's a couple lines that attach various spots on here. Has that got oil in it? Yeah, it's got a bit of oil in it. Not much, just a little bit. Let me just get it out of the way. So there is the only one mounting little nut there. And then we'll just take off this hose clamp here. Should be able to just take this part of the intake pipe off. There we go. And now that is loose. There is a electronic connection here, which is these are of course the electronic throttle. This should just be a push down on both sides. And that just slides off. And it's clipped on. There we go. Okay, that is hold on. That's pretty dirty, so this definitely needs a good cleaning. We'll get the throttle body cleaner on this one. Now, okay, so that we can rotate up, move around. I can see there is some dampness, which is probably just from the MAF, not the MAF, that's probably just from the air oil separator where it was blowing a little bit in and it's coming out through that seal there. And I can see a little bit on this side too. It's a little bit oily, so we'll just pull this, pull the rest of this apart now. Now there's a little kind of vacuum check valve here. I'll take that out. Again, it's a little bit goopy. Hopefully that's still working. Put it on your mouth and suck and blow, and it seems to be fine. And this is going to have to move back one side and pull over the other. Go. Oh yeah, there's a bit of oil there. So it's not as bad as the other ones I've seen on YouTube where it's pouring out. So we'll just push it that way. Try to pull the boot. Maybe it'll come this way. Oh, this side's coming off. Okay, just had to loosen the clamps off a bit more and really push them to one side or the other. And I got cracking noises I don't like. What was that? Okay, these boots are so old and perished that they are rock hard as well. So we need new ones of those because it wouldn't stretch. Great, that just tore. So we shall order some new ones. I'll take those off. Yeah, they are rock hard and oily. Let's see what's going on inside here. A little bit of oil, not too bad. Not too bad. Well, sadly, got some news from Porsche. They don't have any, well, they have this side in the country. No problem, I can get that next day. This side, and of course it's double, so I need 2 of them. got to get out of Germany. So not too bad a wait. It's going to be about 2 to 3 weeks. Bad news is I got a track day in 2 weeks. So I guess I have to cancel that because I just don't think it's going to be here in time. Never know, but yeah, it's just, it's a summer track day and it's starting to get hot anyway, but unfortunately, we'll have to can the track day. But we'll just continue on loosening all these and we'll get everything clean and ready for when the parts do arrive. Now on the bottom here, you've got some little valve that's kind of vacuum actuated, so I don't think there's anything else that plugs into there, but we'll just carefully get it off. Okay, I can feel some more stuff down the bottom on here. Which means I'm not going to be able to rotate too much. You're just going to have to pull it side to side. There we go. These things are so perished. There's no flex in them. Probably just best, I think, if we cut them off. Loose. And it's pretty oily under here, so yeah, it's definitely some oil leaking through. Okay, I'll undo that vacuum line that goes up inside there. Maybe I can rotate it around a bit. Is there anything else plugged in here? Maybe. Don't want to snap off this actuator, whatever it is. There we go. Now, awesome if it was remotely flexible. Okay, there's another little plug down on this other side. There we go. Okay. Sweet. So there's that other butterfly in there. So we'll give all that a clean out as well. Remember that vacuum line's gonna go. Okay, yeah, there's nothing else plugging in there, which is cool. There is a sensor of some kind, just cable tied there. Yeah, that's greasy. We'll give that a nice clean out. Well, after that wrestling to get all those dried rubber things out, you can start wiping this down with paper towel or a rag or whatever. Now you can definitely see that this side here wasn't sealing well, and there's some oil, quite a bit more oil in this side underneath. So I'm gonna have to get under, really get under there and clean it. It hasn't been dripping, it's just been, you know, just weeping out of that seal. So having new rubber there should help a lot. We can move these wires. They're just kind of clipped on there and really get under there. Now, looking inside, I haven't wiped that really yet. It's pretty clear, so that's good. So we've got this just in time. There was some oil, you know, it's just a light little bit of oil vapor in there, but nothing, definitely not pools of oil like we've seen when they're failed on other guys' stuff. So yeah, I think we got it just in time. So that's a good news on our part. We don't have to do too much cleaning here. Other side's the same, barely anything. So we just give everything a little tidy up. We'll vacuum up all this dirt, and then we patiently wait for parts. Now, I guess the neighbor's doing his lawn, which is good. I should probably do mine. We're gonna give this a clean here. So just some MAF cleaner, just the CRC, and we'll give it a spray inside and a wipe down. Front and back of that plate to clean. That actuator, vacuum actuator looks good. So when I'm moving this, you can hear the air blowing out of the little vacuum line that's there. So I gotta remember to put that back on. That vacuum line is gonna be important. Okay, that one is clean. Now we can take this apart, and maybe we will, maybe we should. I think we will. It's just gonna be some e-torques to take that off. But for now, let's just give us a clean so we got something cleaner to work with. Okay. Much cleaner. So we'll give this, get the e-torques, we'll pull this off of the T-piece, and that way we can really clean the other side of this plate too, because I think it's going to be, yeah, around the inside and the edge, it looks a bit dirty. So, all right, let's go get some more tools. Okay, that's the same E10 that we used to take the AOS off. So, and these aren't on very tight. I should just separate off. Yep, like that. It's not too bad. Ah, look, we got a bit of oil up there, so that's been seeping down, because that's the bottom, so it's been seeping there from the a little bit we're getting through the air oil separator. Okay, now cleaning time. Look at that shiny mirror finish back inside again, getting rid of all that carbon. Nice and clean, like I bought one. Okay, I think we got a pretty good job there. And we can get ready to reinstall when we get our rest of our parts back. Okay, we just finished cleaning up the throttle T-piece where the throttle body bolts on. There is a gasket here, and it is rubber. And it should be a little bit raised so it seals, but this is flat and rock hard. So I'd say we'd be getting a, that hasn't been sealing well at all. And you could tell because there was that little bit of oil on this down the side where the little clip was, that was all full of oil, and that bolt was kind of leaking. So it was tracking through here and then down and then obviously out. So that's a source of a air leak gone. And that's, I think that's the last of my gaskets I'm gonna have to be ordering for this right now. But yeah, so if you're gonna do this, order yourself the new gasket for here and the 4 new rubber ones that connect to this T-piece and then the other one behind it, this pipe here. So might as well get them done all at the same time, better than going back in another time. It's been a few weeks, but our parts are in from Germany. So most of it was in the country. Just needed a few pieces, particularly the one that had the little thing for the vacuum line on it. It's got a little hole inside, and one of the 3 that were all the same. Okay, so we got that. We have a new throttle body gasket as well. We're gonna just replace that while we're at it. Okay, let's start putting stuff together. That's the gasket changed. So that old one is really hard. It was compressed and it wasn't sitting out at all. So it's a bit oily too. So good to get rid of that. Anyway, you saw the part number there, and I'll put the part numbers for all this stuff in the description with links to get them on Amazon, or you can go to your local dealer. And we don't need this super tight. We're just snug. I mean, those little captive nuts are just in plastic, so there we go. Okay, now it's time to put some of this rest of this back in the car. Okay, we'll do the top tube up here first. Now that kind of crunching noise we had before is just this, it's the hose coming off the AOS, but it just, if you move it at all in this little clip, it sounds like it's cracking low. This one was not, which is good. Got to remember that down here there is a little vacuum line that goes to the little pump thing there, but let's see if we can slide this on. So we're gonna push both of the rubbers in all the way, as far in as they go, and then move it in position. don't want the edges to be caught, like, which is what caused a bit of a leak there before. Okay, there we go, that's in. Get our little line in underneath. Can't really show you, but we can reach under and connect that in. This connects on. Okay. I've already got the clamps on here, but of course not in the right spot. And we'll push these back. There is a, having new rubbers makes it so much easier. They're pliable, they bend. Okay, took a bit of back and forth and wiggling, but they're all in their grooves and notches now, ready to tighten up. So we'll keep them all nice and neat so they look the same way. And we'll tighten down. We just double check that we're not folded up and fouled underneath like it was when we took it off. And we'll just start tightening everything up. It's nice and tight, not moving. And we just feel around both sides to make sure we're not bound up anywhere. And she's good. One down. Okay, time to do the throttle body. So we'll push both sides in again. We got the line for the AOS that comes underneath, and we need the plug wire clear for the throttle, electronic throttle. Okay, let's push them back into their grooves. Now, I don't know if you can see it there, but the little check valve for the vacuum line. So the black end goes towards the, plugs into the hole on the rubber, and the white plugs into the vacuum line. So make sure you got that the right way, otherwise you're not checking the check valve correctly. Got it on, slid on as easy as I thought. All I did was grab the side here. This is like the intake thing, and I just one-handed just popped on right over the lip, and it's in position. So we can tighten up the hose clamp now. Get it off this side so the hose clamp's kind of out of the way a little. Okay, we're back on the air oil separator. Now this is the new one. I've got it kind of just gently in place. The little clump of wires I pulled out, so it's sitting under there, but it's not quite in because I can't quite get it in the hose down the bottom. But what we're going to do, we're going to go down underneath and see if we can reach in and do it that way. I might have a pretty straight shot at it. I think I do on this. You know, this is the newer style one from the 986.2, 987. So we're going to get underneath and try to do it with the pliers this way and see if we can get in there and reach it. All right, after a few attempts, including me getting stuck under the car with my arm in there, that was fun. Okay, I've got the hose connected here. I did it by getting a set of pliers, kind of backhanded on the hose clamp, as you see there. Okay, backhanded on the hose clamp there. And now I'm going to try to do the same thing on the hose clamp here, but of course that's going to be somewhat blocked by the AOS. Kind of hard to film, but I'm just going to see if I can get it done. So I'm going to get this on here in position, because otherwise I'll be kind of blind underneath, and try to push it all down on top.
Okay, here's what I've done. I've got the AOS in here. I was able to reach in the side and pull the tube up, the rubber hose up onto the bottom of the little J hose, and then kind of push it into position. I've got the bolts in there, just finger tight, holding it. Fine, okay, easy. Now we're gonna go down underneath, and I think this is gonna be the biggest tip I can give anyone. Now I've already got my light under here, but if you look, where is it? Right up. You can see it. Now, I'm trying to see if this will focus. It's right in the middle there, right at the tip of the pliers, you see? It won't focus on it, but that is that's the J hose at the bottom. So that side, like I said, is already on. That's the top of the AOS right there, that kind of cone looking thing. And there's the clamp. So it's a pretty straight shot in here. These are some long needle nose. You might be able to get in there with some other pliers. Squeeze it and then slide it up. But that, if I back it up, you can see straight in here. You get the light in there and you can see. Let's see if I can get right in there and show you. Okay, in we go, climbing into the engine. And there you see it, right in the middle. Right in the middle of the screen is the bottom of the AOS and that top clamp. So you just got to reach in there and slide that up. You know, easier said than done, but this is going to be the easiest shot at it. Now you see all the grease and stuff there splattered and a leaking CV boot, but that's all sorted now. Okay, time for me to get bendy and try to get in there and move that clamp. Okay, you can see there, it's nice, it's up high, the other one's down low, so that is secured. The AOS is pretty much in. Yeah, it just took a couple goes, but yeah, it's a straight shot at it this way. I mean, some hose clamp pliers would make life a lot easier because it slipped off a couple times. But yeah, okay, so that again, for those playing at home, come under the car, up in the back corner, and through your suspension, you got to reach way in there. Now take my light out. Okay, that was interesting, but done. Saved us a couple $100 and, well, pretty happy. It's not that hard a job. Back on the top of the motor. Okay, like I said, we got those bolts kind of finger tight. We're gonna crank them down now. So again, that's the E socket. So it doesn't have to be super hard because that should all seat in nicely. Push the little cable away. If you do have a super high mileage or kilometer car, you will have wanted to replace some of those plastic hoses. No doubt they were cracked and leaking. Ours were all good, and then, you know, later model car, so I don't know if they did a running change in it, who knows. Okay, that is nice and tight. Now let's connect some hoses. All right, so we've got one hose here that goes to the just behind the throttle body. There is an orientation for this, it's correct. Again, you don't want to crack it. These little clips on here, you want to be gentle, and you want to make sure that you just give everything a clean if you're reusing them. So they go on the same way they came off. Clip. And this one here. Okay, that one is on, and we got one more to do. This one down here. So that's, we just got to feed it through underneath there and put it back on. But yeah, aerial separator, not a hard job, bit finicky. Probably easier on this model than the previous one, but yeah, recommend you give it a go yourself.